This is a Sitting Ringside with David Penzer. Quick Fix on Radio Influence.
Welcome, Jim Cornette, to Sitting Ringside. I am honored to have you on this podcast. So you ingratiate yourself with the Jarrett family, and you get an opportunity to sort of be an understudy to Jimmy Hart as a manager. How is that?
Well, actually, my rookie year happened in reverse. I was understudy the second half of it. The first half, Jerry Jarrett wanted to put together a new version of the Fabulous Fargos, the ultimate bleach blonde, strutting heel team that eventually will become baby faces because of, how badass they are, and they never lose.
Right.
And he was going to have Jackie Fargo introduce them. And then after a couple months, they were going to turn on Fargo and become these big heels. And he couldn't have Jimmy Hart manage them because Hart had been feuding with Stan Lane and Steve Keirn for years and had managed all the other guys. And this needed to be different. He was going to go the whole route with this thing, the limousines and the budget for outfits and first class. These guys are going to be unstoppable. And so he decided that he would break me in as a manager so that I was a rich kid. I could buy him, and it would be tons of heat with these two, tough, badass, good-looking guys, Stan Lane and Steve Keirn, these horrible heels that have turned on Jackie Fargo with this rich kid, wimpy manager. But the problem was that once he introduced me and once he introduced them, the Fabulous Ones got over as baby faces stronger than any tag team that had been presented in the Tennessee territory since the Fabulous Fargos 25 years before that. And he would have been insane. And the one thing Jerry Jarrett is not as insane, especially when it comes to money, to ever switch him to begin that build he was going to do to begin with.
Sure.
So he just left him babyface. All of a sudden, he's got the rich kid manager. Well, Bill Dundee was the booker then. And Lawler always booked his own programs, and Jimmy Hart was Lawler's guy. And he was always managing whoever Lawler was working with. So Dundee started booking me to manage the guys that he was working with, specifically Adrian Street, because they had great matches, got a lot of heat, and it drew some money. So suddenly I was put in some main events and in some bigger towns. I main evented in Memphis, the Mid-South Coliseum, just a couple months into actually, the first time I was at ringside with Dutch Mantell, my first week as a manager. I was in the main event at the Mid-South Coliseum, but that was a fluke. Anyway, Dundee works with Adrian and so we were doing some good business, and I was pretty prominently featured. But then when Lawler got the book from Dundee that spring, and a bunch of us refugees went to Georgia for the summer for a little territory that Jarrett was going to staff for Ole Anderson. But that's the first time I ever got fired. But I didn't mind Ole firing me then because he closed the whole territory down at the same time.
Sitting Ringside with David Penzer can be found on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and RadioInfluence.com.